Hello, I'm Mr. SD again, and welcome back to our ASAP debate series. This is the fourth video in the series, and we're going to talk about case writing. That is, how do you write your debate case? When you go off to the round, how do you prepare the beginning of your argument for that debate? First, let's just review what we've learned so far. We've looked at how the topics are phrased in debate. In formal debates, you usually have a resolution, which is a statement. For example, resolved, umbrellas should be provided to all citizens when it is raining, for example. So you have a resolution, and remember that as a debater, you might be asked to debate the pro side or the con side of that resolution. Going into a tournament, you don't know which side you're going to end up debating on. In fact, it's very likely that you will debate on both sides at different rounds. So, you need to be prepared with both a pro case, that's a case that is supporting the resolution, and you have to be prepared with a con case. That's a case that is against the resolution. So that's the first part. We also learned about how to form a complete argument. And we did that using a structure called claim, warrant, impact. So you make a claim, which is a debatable statement of fact. You back it up with evidence. And then in your warrant, you show how this claim is relevant to the debate. And then with your impact, you explain how this claim and this warrant are going to change the judge's decision making. What is the overall, the so what, the result, the weight of this argument? All right? So we've got a resolution and you've got an argument, but you're not ready to make a case yet. Debate cases usually have more than one argument. We call each complete argument a contention. Contention as in, that is something that I contend. I am putting this out and I am going to fight to defend it. A debate case is going to be divided into two big parts. You have the framework and you have what debaters call the on case. I'm just going to call it the contentions. Framework and argument. Framework and contentions. The framework is like the introduction to your debate. If you think of a debate case like a 5-paragraph essay, like those essays that you have to write in English class with an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion, well, your introduction is going to be your framework. Your body paragraphs are going to be your 3 contentions. And you're not really going to worry about the conclusion. We shorten it down to 1 sentence in debate, because otherwise you run out of time. So, you have a framework, and in public forum, your framework should be very short. You see, the framework is your chance to lay the groundwork for your case. It's your chance to explain to the judge and to your opponents how you understand the resolution, what you think are the important interpretations and definitions and implications of this resolution, of this topic. And especially, what are the arguments that you really want to point out are okay to make or not okay to make? When you're just starting, you should keep your frameworks super simple. A basic framework is just reading the resolution word for word and saying what side you're on. For example, good morning. My partner and I strongly affirm the resolution. Resolved. Schools should require students to wear uniforms. So really, it's as simple as that. You just need to say, good morning or good afternoon, this is what side I'm on, and this is the resolution. You do want to be clear that you're pro or con, and you want to be clear what the exact words of the resolution is. But that's it. The only reason you would add more is if you think that you and your opponents are likely to disagree on what part of the resolution means. That's unlikely to happen when you're just starting out. later on, teams might get really sneaky or really clever and have some really unexpected strategies around an unusual interpretation of this word or a very specific definition for that word or just an overall idea of the resolution that's a little bit different. And when you're more advanced, you can work on that. In the meantime, the only thing you might have to add to your framework is definitions. So definitions, you can define any term in the resolution that you think is going to be the subject of arguments. You don't have to define every word or even every important word. You only need to spend your time defining the words that you think there might be arguments about, especially if you think the arguments might really affect the outcome of the round. For example, I had friends in high school who had the resolution we've been using. Resolved, schools should require students to wear uniforms. And they had a big fight over what school uniforms actually mean. The first team to go was the pro team, and they didn't define uniforms. My friends tried to define uniforms as underwear. And that made for a very funny debate, but they also lost the round because the judge did not think that was a reasonable definition. So, that said, had their opponents not argued with their definition, that would have been pretty bad for the pro case, right? That's a tough case to make, that schools should have everyone walking around in their underwear. Fortunately, neither real life nor that debate round thought that was a good idea. All right, so that's your framework. Next, you want to move on to your contentions. And like we said, you should have 3 of them. It is really helpful to signpost your contentions, which means that right after you're done with your framework, you just say, these are my contentions. My partner and I have 3 contentions. Our first contention is, and then you give your first contention a name. My second contention is, my third contention is. Then you read each contention. When you start a new contention, again, you want to signpost. You want to make it really clear. Contention 1 benefits the economy. Contention 2 saves lives. Contention 3 improves the environment. When you write your contentions as part of a debate case, in addition to the claim, warrant, and impact, you want to give each contention a tag. That's a name, and you can use that tag to refer back to your contention. So instead of reading the whole contention over again, which would take forever, you can just refer to it as our economy contention, or our saving lives contention, or our improving education contention, whatever you chose to name it. The tag should be about a short sentence long. So it should be complete description of the most important point of the contention, but it should be short enough that you can read it over and over again. So you should have more than one contention. An ideal number to start with is 3. 3 is great. 3 is enough contentions that you are making multiple points, multiple arguments, so even if one argument fails, you still have 2 to rely on. And it's enough that you're really making your opponent think hard about how to respond to all 3. At the same time, in public forum debate, you have 4 minutes for your first speech. And you should try to read your entire case in the first speech. Anything you don't fit into your first speech really should not be part of your case. It is very bad form to sneak part of your case into the second speech. That's not cool. So you can't fit much more than 3 contentions into 4 minutes. You can do 4 maybe if they're very short, but if you're doing 5 or 6 contentions, at that point, you're just not backing your contentions up with enough evidence, or your contentions aren't finished. So 3 is a good number. 4 is the maximum, I would say. 2 can happen. It can work, especially if you have 2 really good points. You can't think of anything else. And there are debaters who make one contention cases work, but I do not recommend this, especially not for beginners. It's very risky and it puts a lot of pressure on writing a super amazing contention. All right, 3 contentions. And at the end of your debate case, the conclusion for a debate case is really short. All you're going to do is say thank you, and I urge a strong vote for the pro side. Or thank you, and I urge a strong vote for the con side. 1 sentence. You do not have time in 4 minutes to give a full conclusion. That's going to come later when you have your summary and your final focus speeches at the end of the round. So the time to conclude has not yet arrived when you're still in the very first speeches of the round. So that's it. To help you out with case writing, which is one of the hardest things to start with when you're just starting out in debate, I am going to include some links in the description down below. I have a link to a template that you can use for writing a debate case. I do recommend that you separate the pro and the con cases. I have them in the same doc for convenience, but it really helps to keep them separate so you don't get them mixed up. I also have a folder full of sample cases that my actual students actually wrote. These cases are not perfect, right? They were written by real people, high schoolers, sometimes middle schoolers, and they're full of mistakes, they have spelling errors, but you know what? It doesn't matter because nobody is reading them except for the first speaker. Your judge is only going to hear what comes out of your mouth. And so that's the moral of the story with the debate case. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need even to have all the spelling correct, although please try, just as a teacher. But it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need your debate case to win you the round. You are going to win the round. You're going to win the round not because your opponent's case is bad or because your case is unbeatable. There shouldn't be possible to write an unbeatable case if the topic is any good. You should win the round because you are a better debater than your opponent. And what your case needs to do is give you a chance to demonstrate to the judge just how good a debater you are. So as long as your case gives you a chance to show what a great speaker, what a great thinker, and what a great debater you are, it's a good case. Thank you, and happy debating.